Sarah's text lit up my phone in the middle of a board meeting. Mom's having her 60th birthday party at the Grand Haven Hotel. She says you're not invited to the VIP section. James agreed with her. My own husband, siding with his mother again. Keeping my expression neutral, I ended the call with our Tokyo investors, my finger hovering over Sarah's message. The irony would have been laughable if it weren't so infuriating. The Grand Haven Hotel, Margaret Williams's venue of choice, wasn't just any luxury hotel, it was mine, one of the flagship properties in the hospitality empire I had built from the ground up, and yet, my mother-in-law had no idea. To her, I was merely James's trophy wife, a pretty face who had somehow ensnared her son into marriage. Miss Chen, the Singapore team is ready for their update, my assistant, Andrew, reminded me. I nodded, pushing thoughts of Margaret's party aside. I had an empire to run, even if my in-laws thought my days were spent on shopping sprees and spa treatments. The thing about illusions? They're easy to create, harder to break. When I met James 5 years ago, I was already a successful businesswoman, but I had always kept my professional identity separate. My company operated under my Chinese family name, Chen, while in my personal life, I used James's surname, Williams. It wasn't deception, just a division of worlds that had worked to my advantage. Margaret never saw me as anything more than a girl from nowhere. No family connections, no proper education, she had once told James, loud enough for me to hear. She had never asked about my background, and I had never bothered to correct her assumptions. James, ever the peacemaker, always brushed off her comments. It's just how she is, he would say, she'll warm up to you eventually. 5 years later, I was still waiting. By the time I wrapped up my meetings, Sarah's text was still on my screen. The guest list for the party was predictable, Hartford's elite. The people Margaret had spent decades trying to impress. The same people I regularly sat beside in boardrooms and charity committees, though she remained blissfully unaware. I tapped my screen. Andrew, get me Thomas from the Grand Haven. Thomas, my hotel manager, answered on the first ring. Miss Chen, I was just about to call you about Mrs. Williams's birthday party. She's been demanding. I could imagine. Tell me everything. The list was extensive. Margaret had insisted on the presidential suite at a discount, citing her son's friendship with the owner. She demanded exclusive use of the VIP lounge for a select few, where I was explicitly unwelcome. She mentioned you might attend, Thomas added carefully. She was specific about your seating arrangement. The back, near the kitchen entrance. Of course, she was. I opened my laptop and pulled up the guest list. Judges, politicians, old money families, people whose respect Margaret craved. Thomas, keep all her arrangements as is, I said smoothly, but make sure the security team is briefed, and have Vincent bartending the VIP lounge. Vincent was our best mixologist. More importantly, he knew exactly who I was. The night of the party arrived, clear and crisp. James had left early to help his mother prepare. Mom thinks it's best if we arrive separately, he had said, not meeting my gaze. You understand, right? Oh, I understood perfectly. I chose my outfit with care, a sleek black Chanel dress, understated yet commanding, no need to compete with Margaret's guaranteed extravagance. The grand ballroom was breathtaking, a testament to the design choices I had approved 3 years ago. Crystal chandeliers bathed the space in warm light, ice sculptures gleamed, and a string quartet played softly in the background. Margaret stood near the entrance, radiant in red, James dutifully by her side. Her lips curled into a tight smile as she spotted me. Oh, you came. I returned the smile, equally tight. Of course, wouldn't miss it. The general seating is that way. She gestured vaguely toward the back. James, darling, help me greet the mayor. I watched them walk away, noting the tension in James's shoulders. He knew this was wrong, but he would never stand up to her, not without a push. Taking my assigned seat, tucked near the swinging kitchen doors, I scanned my table. The second cousins Margaret barely tolerated, a neighbor she felt obligated to invite, the social outcasts of the evening. The event unfolded exactly as planned. Dinner, speeches, then, the moment Margaret had been waiting for. And now, our exclusive VIP gathering, she announced grandly, only those with golden wristbands, please. Half the ballroom rose, golden bands glinting as they made their way to the elevators. James hesitated, casting a guilty glance in my direction before following them upstairs. Perfect. I pulled out my phone. Time for phase 2. What followed was a masterclass in subtle sabotage. First, the VIP lounge's air conditioning mysteriously malfunctioned, blasting heat instead of cool air. Then, the premium liquor Margaret had handpicked for her guests seemed to run out, bottle after bottle. Nothing too obvious, just enough to cause irritation. Back at my table, I sipped my champagne and waited. 3, 2, 1. The elevator doors burst open, and Margaret stormed out, her face flushed with heat and fury. "Where is the manager?" she barked. "This is unacceptable. Do you know who I am?" Thomas appeared, impeccably composed. "Is there a problem, Mrs. Williams?" Margaret seethed. "Everything is a problem. The air conditioning, the drinks, the service. I want to speak to the owner, now." "Of course," Thomas replied smoothly. "Miss Chen is actually here tonight." Margaret's lips curled into a victorious smirk. "Finally. Where is she?" I rose from my seat near the kitchen, adjusting my dress with deliberate ease. "Right here, Margaret." Silence swept across the ballroom like a sudden chill. Margaret turned, eyes widening in shock, her mouth opened, then closed, gasping like a fish pulled from water. Behind her, James had gone deathly pale. That's not possible," she stammered. "You're just what?" I asked, voice smooth as silk. "A gold digger? A pretty face? Or the owner of this hotel, of the entire Grand Haven chain?" "All of the above, actually." The murmurs started immediately. Recognition flickered in the eyes of Hartford's elite. Half the room had done business with M. Chen, respected her, courted her investments, never realizing she was the woman they had dismissed as James's plus one. Thomas, ever the professional, kept his composure. "Miss Chen, shall I have the air conditioning in the VIP lounge repaired?" I let the moment breathe before answering. "No need, I think the party is moving back down here." I turned to the guests, raising my glass. "Drinks are on the house, a birthday gift to my dear mother-in-law." Controlled chaos erupted. Margaret's carefully curated VIP circle disbanded like fog in the morning sun, guests trickling back to the main ballroom, drawn not by obligation to her, but by the opportunity to stand beside me. James approached, his expression tangled between shock and something almost like admiration. "Why didn't you tell me?" he murmured. I met his gaze, unflinching. "You never asked." He flinched. "Miss Chen," the mayor's wife descended on us with barely concealed eagerness. "I had no idea you were James's wife. You must join us for the charity gala next week." I smiled. "Of course, though I do prefer a seat that isn't next to the kitchen." Her expression flickered with guilt. She had been in the VIP lounge, after all. As the night waned, I found Margaret alone, sitting at what had been my table, staring at nothing. The irony wasn't lost on me. I took the seat beside her. "The service is better here than you think," I said lightly. She turned, her flawlessly applied makeup unable to mask the years etched into her face. "You were laughing at me this whole time," she whispered. "No," I corrected, voice steady. "I was working, building something, the kind of thing you always wanted James to do." I rose, smoothing my dress one last time. "Happy birthday, Margaret. The presidential suite is comped, of course, family discount." I walked away, hearing her sharp intake of breath behind me. My phone buzzed. "Andrew, with updates on our Dubai expansion." Time to get back to work. The story wasn't over. There would be fallout. There always was. But for now, Margaret had gotten exactly what she wanted, a birthday party that people would talk about for years. Just not for the reasons she had planned. I had to wonder, would knowing about my success have changed anything? Or would James have just found another excuse for letting his mother treat me like I was nothing? My intercom buzzed. "Miss Chen, Tokyo is on line 5, 2 minutes." I glanced at James. "I have a company to run. We can finish this conversation at home." He stood, looking lost. "When will you be home?" "When I finish work, like always." Something shifted in his expression. All those times he thought I was at yoga, shopping, or out to lunch, I had been here, building an empire. While playing the role his family assigned me. The Williams family spent the next few weeks in a slow-motion reckoning. Margaret fled to Florida, unwilling to face her social circle. Sarah, who had always been the kindest of them, called to apologize. "I just assumed," she admitted, "because Mom said." "A lot of people assumed," I replied. "That was their mistake." The press had a field day. Hidden CEO, the woman who built an empire in secret, Trophy wife or business mogul? The double life of Williams. I gave exactly one interview, to a respected business journal. When asked why I had kept my professional life separate, my answer was simple. Success speaks for itself. I didn't need to announce it. The article went viral. James moved into the guest room. We were in limbo, not quite separated, not quite together. He started therapy, peeling back years of blind loyalty to his mother. I watched him struggle with the realization that his trophy wife had outbuilt, outearned, and outmatched him at every turn. Margaret returned after a month, considerably subdued. She requested a meeting, through James. I'll see her at the hotel, I decided, in the VIP lounge. She arrived exactly on time, dressed in her usual elegant way, but something was missing, her certainty, perhaps. Vincent served drinks without being asked, champagne for me, water for her. You've redecorated, she noted. Yes, the whole hotel is being renovated. She flinched at the we. I suppose you want an apology. No, Margaret, I don't need your apology. I leaned forward. What I need is for you to understand something. She stiffened, but I continued. I am not the woman you imagined me to be. I never was. Your son married a CEO, not a trophy, and if you want any relationship with us going forward, you need to accept that reality. And if I can't, then you'll miss out on more than just VIP access to my hotels. She took a shaky breath. James is in therapy. Yes. Because of me? Because of himself. He's finally facing his own role in our dynamics. She stirred her water, ice clinking against glass. And you? Will you forgive him? That depends on James, on whether he wants to be a partner, or just a son who never grew up. The hum of renovation work echoed through the hotel. Fitting, really. Margaret hesitated. I looked you up, she admitted. Your company, your achievements, the charity work. She paused. The scholarship program for underprivileged girls. Someone has to help the girls from nowhere achieve their dreams. She flushed, recognizing her own words. As she stood to leave, she turned back one last time. For what it's worth. I was wrong about you. I know, I said simply. I always knew. That evening, I found James in my home office, really seeing it for the first time. He was staring at a framed photo on my desk, our wedding day. I was so proud that day, he murmured, proud that someone as beautiful as you had chosen me. His shoulders sagged. I never thought to be proud of anything else about you. He turned, eyes red. And now? His voice wavered. Now I'm ashamed of how I let Mom treat you, of how little I knew my own wife. He swallowed hard. But mostly, I'm in awe of everything you've built, of how strong you are. I don't deserve you. Probably not, I agreed. He flinched. But deserving me isn't the point, James. Supporting me is. Being a real partner is. I held his gaze. Can you do that? I want to try. He gestured to my desk. Show me. Tell me about your company, your work, everything I should have asked about years ago. I sat down, watching as he settled into the visitor's chair, just like in my downtown office. But this time, he was ready to listen. It started 15 years ago. I began, with one small hotel and a dream. 3 months after Margaret's birthday party, we hosted another event at the Grand Haven. The official launch of our Asian expansion, alongside the announcement of a new scholarship foundation for women in business. James stood beside me as I gave my speech, his hand steady on my back. Margaret sat in the audience, not in the VIP section, but not by the kitchen either. Progress comes in small steps. Sarah had joined my board of directors, finally free of her mother's shadow. As for me? I was finally, fully myself. Williams, CEO of Grand Haven Hotels. A woman who had built her success one brick at a time. No more hiding, no more playing small. The trophy wife was gone. And in her place stood what had been there all along. A woman who had turned assumptions into advantages. And silence into strength. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't just success. It's success on your own terms.